Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. Rhett is out in the living room at the moment. That my son dropped off his dogs. It is 8:32 a.m. 8:32 a.m. on a Thursday morning. We are trying to work through this application, and basically, this is an application that's designed to. Um, it's an Angular application that's designed to let you create ThreeJS visualizations. I've been working on it for almost a year, have almost nothing done. It's just absolutely incredible how little I've been able to accomplish over that time. Now, I do only work on it. I do work on it daily, but only for like maximum an hour and a half, but typically closer to like 30, 35 minutes, maybe an hour. And as we're going, I'm trying to really understand basic things that I've never had a chance to understand before. And this is my first project that I've ever dealt with that I've ever worked on that I'm demanding 100% unit test coverage because I wanted to see how that kind of plays out over time. And this is the first project I've ever worked on that has uh, end-to-end testing built into it. So I'm doing a refactor right now because basically I got went down this rabbit hole where I'm like highly fixated on um, delete deleting things in JavaScript, understanding what delete's all about. And as I've done this refactor, ooh, I have no power. Let me take care of that. Energy saver is on, everybody. Power is back. Energy saver is off. It is still it with my computer. It stays a little dim on the main once it's turned on. But anyways, so we are um, running through these end-to-end tests, and um, I am an absolute believer in it. So with the unit tests, I don't know. I don't know if they're worth the lift, and it definitely would not be worth it for me today. Like if I was starting from scratch, I've worked in a lot of jobs where we had to have unit tests, so I did understand. I learned how to do unit tests, but it was more of a requirement than something that I believed in. And then I've been doing this, and it unit tests have definitely. Um, I've found that unit testing is the time and place is the best time and place for like the concept of really deep diving line by line, making sure that every code is exactly the way that you're happy with and that you want to do it. It's easy for things to slip through the cracks if you don't have a round for that, because especially like if you're bug fixing, you fix a bug, you get it working, blah blah blah, commit it and send it. But if you have to write unit tests around it, well, now you got to look at every single line that you did and try to understand and try to make sure that it's the best that you want it to be. Um, End-to-end testing, on the other hand, seems to lock in features. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with code. It has to do with like, okay, I've built out this feature. I want to make sure that nothing I do in the future breaks this feature because I guarantee when I'm working deep in some other thing and I want to do features, um, then I will see um, then I will, if I break it, I won't even notice it maybe for 6 months and I won't even know when it broke, right? But this end-to-end testing has absolutely found over and over again found bugs. And it did in this case, and in this specific case, it found this bug where if I add three things, if I have, okay, so reflow is checked, right? So if I uncheck reflow, so, and we add, and then I go over here and I delete. Now, what I expect with reflow off is that when I get back there, it will have a gap in the middle, and it doesn't. And the whole idea of that is that in the future, what I want to be able to do is like have one animation kind of sitting on top of another animation, or maybe an animation in the middle with other animations around it. Sorry, stuff like that. And I do have a button that I could turn off the microphone. Unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily always turn the microphone back on. So that is The button has gone bad. I really do need to buy some new headphones. But anyways, so if we go like that, I mean, so that broke, and I wasn't even thinking about when I was doing this refactor. I wasn't even considering reflow. Now, yesterday I did discover it, and then I was late for work. I was like a minute or two late for work, um, so um, didn't, so I couldn't really dig in. But so today was about fixing that bug. But the thing is it could very well be that there's other bugs, all other ones of these fail, and knowing that more than one of them failed is extremely could be informative. It may or may not be informative. So I think it's the number 6 that fails. And even the fact that the name of it was reflow when it failed was really cool. Oh, and by the way, I did run it as not like in this, which this is how you run in Cypress if you're saying npm run Cypress colon open. But I ran it with npm run Cypress colon run, um, and and then it actually took a screenshot of the where the fail happened, which is pretty cool. Although I am taking a course and I found out that you can actually just tell it to take a screenshot anytime you want. There's actually, I think it's cy dot screenshot uh, parentheses, and that will actually take a screenshot apparently. I haven't tried it, but I have no reason to think that it wouldn't. Um, but like keyboard, I thought I wouldn't have been surprised if keyboard was broken. I wouldn't have been surprised if resize is broken. Now, this resize in my old application that I did last year, I always was like, oh, I'll get to resize later. And I never did. And by the end, it was so freaking annoying that I didn't have resize. So, where it would just like redraw itself on resize. So I wanted to have that baked in from the beginning. Um, and then I didn't want to break it. I didn't want anything to break it. So this is the one that breaks. Is this, yeah, this is reflow. Huh. It did not. Oh, maybe it was delete that broke. It's kind of weird though. I could have sworn it was reflow that broke. Or maybe it's waiting right now. Check. Kind of seems like it's stuck. Maybe I stopped it by mistake. Shows only 3 though. I don't know. That's weird. But it's definitely broken. Okay, so yeah, actually it was delete that ended up breaking. Expected it to have CSS property left with the value of 400, but the value was 200. So it was expecting this guy to be here and there to be a gap there. Um, so update. So delete did find a bug, but with something else's, um, with some other piece. But in addition to finding a bug, it also found a, I mean, but it was only, the bug would only happen with this functionality. So, so that is that. So let's see. Okay, so that delete is the only one that breaks, and it's this point right here. Reflow is off. So when we deleted this second one, it didn't work. Now I was able right before this to show that the problem. So we do that. So now, and we'll be able to easily test that it's fixed. And whenever we figure out what the bug is and we fix it, we'll be able to easily test that we didn't break something else. I have definitely had that experience before where someone fixes a bug which causes a different bug. Then somebody fixes the second bug which causes a third bug. And then someone fixes the third bug which causes the first bug. And then the first bug gets fixed, which causes the second bug gets fixed. And if and that is okay if that can kind of work itself out pretty quickly, but if you like in 6 weeks, but if it's kind of thing where like, oh, bug two doesn't get noticed until 4 months later, and then bug three doesn't get noticed until 4 months after that, then what happens is you just get on this forever sort of thing where you're just like, I feel like I've seen this bug before. What caused this bug? And it's like, oh yeah, something 8 months ago caused this, but that a bug, a fix 8 months ago broke something that no one figured out it was broken until 4 months later, and then that broke something that broke something else that that nobody figured out for till 4 months later, and now I fixed it, and I basically caused the very first bug. I'm not even aware that the first bug is in, and then it's like, you know, like just a bug that it's a zombie bug, or it's a bug that just keeps coming back to life. And I have definitely seen that, and it is extraordinarily difficult to short circuit that whole process. But anyways, so let's go ahead and see the expected behavior. Let's just go run through this one more time. Is that I go, oh, wrong one, add, add, and then go to here, delete, and then I come back here and I expect, oh no, reflow is on, so reflow has to be off. So let's try it again. And see, these are those bugs that are interesting because um, they're very interesting because what happens is, and I don't even know how that's supposed to work, so let's just do it from scratch. Reflow is off, add, close this in, go to here, delete. Like it takes a lot of steps. Anytime a bug takes more than maybe 5 steps, 3 steps to reproduce, it can be extraordinarily difficult to communicate. And many, many times the person writing up is being told, is reading of it from a third party, and then they don't even actually understand it. So all they do is copy and paste whatever the other person wrote and put it in for the developer. Um, and then when you go back to them and say, well, I don't really understand this, they're like, they don't want to admit that they just copied something and never understood it. Um, so then, yeah, things get weird. All right, so the first thing to do in this situation is always check your console log. See if there's something broken. I didn't expect there to be one, but so yeah, so this is a tough one because there's really very few clues as to what might be causing this. Um, Now, I know there was a change that we made in the layout, and this is the grid layout. So let's go over there and just see if we can figure out what is going on. So if I remember correctly, and I'm trying to think more along the lines of architecturally. So instead of like just figuring out like getting this and going to the route and seeing where, like, which is a great way, like to go look in the route and see what component gets rendered here. But another way to do it is just like understand how um, the architecture works, and then try to deal with that, and then try to go that way. Um, and it's really good to be able to do both because, and the main reason is because like if you're going to be contracting and stuff and doing work, sometimes some places are very architecturally driven, like very, very heavy on the architecture, and some places are very, very heavy on the um, just making things work. I think people might call that functional. I'm not sure. But if they're heavy on the architecture, then trying to figure out things by just decoding what happens is typically not going to work for you. Like the other day I mentioned, a lot of places like they will have component and then they have menu, and then inside of each one of these they have the same name. So it'd be like menu component, and it's like the name is the exact same. And I think the class names have to be different, but maybe they don't even have to have selectors. But like sometimes you just cannot figure out. You cannot step through the code and figure out where things are. But like usually in that case, you'll be able to look at the sort of 30,000-foot view and you'll be able to see, oh, okay, this is how they lay things out. Okay, let me go through here. Now, what a lot happens a lot of times is a first group comes in and they're very architecturally orientated, and then a second group comes in after that, especially with like the big contracting companies, like they have like all these geniuses that come in at the beginning, they set everything up, and then they sort of bring in more junior people to and geniuses and a junior person can clearly be a genius, but they have all these highly experienced architecturally minded kinds of people that come in originally and set everything up, and then what happens is they have more junior people that just get things done, um, come in and work, and then you can end up with a real mess of trying to figure it out. But I'm pretty sure this was in app cup. It's in layouts and then app custom layout. And then let's see. So basically this renders, get render, update, setup DOM visualizations, animate visualization, renders, layout type. See, I don't know. So this is what handles at the ground level, the visualizations, this animate visualization. I wonder if this setup DOM, I bet you, it wouldn't surprise me if this is where that happens. This is really the only place it could happen. And I'm wondering, it could also be something that's listening for a signal and doing that. But let's try this. I wonder if I can comment these two lines out. And we'll do that, and we're in custom. So I believe what should happen is when I add them, they should just end up on top of each other. Okay, yeah. So these are just ended up on top of each other. So I think if I uncomment this, what'll happen is, let's see. Now that's very interesting because it's still animated. So I don't even know, curious if when I come here. Oh, and it did get faster. That's always been a weird thing, is like every time you do that, but oh, now see it did not redraw itself. But then it redrew all of them on the add. So there's something that gets called on add that tells it to redraw. Now that leads me to the question of, okay, so let's go ahead and go back to the original. I don't even know why we have this now. Sure if this is necessary. I still have 5 minutes. So the question that begs is if I turn reflow on or off, I bet you in the end I'll probably have reflow off by default and you have to turn it on because if you're moving things around, you clearly want it um, to hold its position. Um, and back to here and add viz. Okay, so that whatever figured out that is not working. All right, so we are really no closer to the update vision. So the animation updates the visualization layout, which that doesn't make sense. So I'm guessing it's either in here or in here that's broken. And when we got rid of this, it didn't update the layout anymore. So I'm guessing it's that. So I'm going to go to implementation. I think I used to always go to definition I've moved over to go into implementation instead because it doesn't matter in Angular or in JavaScript, but it does matter in C Sharp. And since I work in C Sharp a lot, I want that. Okay, so setup visualization seems like the only possible place that this might exist. And then setup visualization items. Upsert for, okay, so that's weird. Upsert for component. I felt like we did have to change something for this to bind this or something like that. Initialize. So upsert, the word upsert means that either update an existing thing or insert it if it doesn't exist. Um, so I don't know. Let's try this. Let's just see if we comment this out, what happens. This has always been my bread and butter in software development, is the ability to debug things like this. Okay, so yeah, so it is, that is definitely being accomplished by this function. So let's go implement. That's this guy right here. So this goes through each one and upstate. It does an upsert viz for component. So let's just double check that this guy is also, oh, will not let us do that. Um, okay, so that is definitely happening in this upsert viz for component. So since I feel like it's in here, I think I should do a search for the Control F and type in reflow and see if there's anything. So there's a comment about reflow. Try resetting all viz for reflow. When is shifting. Okay, try resetting viz for all reflow. Oh, get reflow. So if get reflow is set to always, we do this. But otherwise, and then, so basically, if everything is reflow, if reflow is set to always, then just reset them all. Set everything to -1 and update manual placement. But otherwise we should just go through here. So theoretically, if we comment this code out, basically reflow should work and then it should use the provided left and top instead of resetting it. So let's see what happens. Add. And in the future, you'll be able to drag these around so we wouldn't have to go through all these steps. We wouldn't have to delete something. Okay, so it didn't matter. It didn't care that the that it was set to -1 or not. I'm going to do this console.log. So the question that I had, which I thought there was a low chance, but I thought there was a possibility that for some reason get reflow wasn't being set properly. Resetting for always. And then okay, so we never get our resetting for always, never get our resetting for always. So close that up. come back here, and we never get our resetting for always. And that's because reflow is off. So it doesn't have anything to do with that, which I didn't think so, especially because I commented it out and didn't do anything, but I just wanted to validate that. I can't tell you how many times I've been like, okay, so it's not that, and moved on and then found out that's what it was and spent hours and hours and hours trying to figure out a bug that wasn't even there. Um, okay, so current left is get next available left. So this is supposed to get the row siblings and then get the next left and return it. And next left gets created right here. So when we, um, as soon as we get to return, these two variables are gone. Um, get available right. I feel like there's probably, that sounds like where there's going to be a problem. Get next available right is left plus the width. All right, so basically it's checking all the siblings, but okay, so actually I think the problem is before this, now that I think about it. And oh, so that's an interesting test. Okay, let's try this. Add. Oh, let's turn reflow off. Add and add. One of the features of reflow is when we resize, it shouldn't. Okay, so reflow is working in this specific scenario because basically if reflow is on, see now it's responsive. But if reflow is off, so part of reflow is working. The part of reflow that isn't working is when you first go to draw it, it's like resetting all of the values. So let's go back up to here. You can hit this little back arrow if you want to get back to wherever you were at before. Okay. So for each this. Okay, so if viz is not equal to manual placement, so F12, we'll add some, we'll actually, let's add. So manual placement is false. Okay, manual placement is true. So we had two trues and a false, which makes sense. Now, if I turn to this view, it's kind of interesting that the third one is still on manual placement equals false. See, I have two manual placements are set to true, which is what I would expect. Now, I would expect them all to be true at this point. It's weird that they're not all true. Um, so let's clear. See, for some reason, this one doesn't get a true manual placement until let's clear this. And it is wild. Oh, I hit add viz, not darn it. So I have two trues and a false. Okay, so I feel like that's the first bug, right? Is really if reflow is off, all three of them should be set to true. And that would be a good next bug to fix. Um, so let's do this. For some reason, manual placement. is never set to true on the last visualization. And that's a bug. It's definitely a bug that's probably been there since the beginning. It probably won't fix this bug that we're doing, but it's exposed itself, so we need to, this would be a good time to do it. Basically, I'm saying that the bug is that if free flow is off, everybody should be manual placement of true, not just the first two. Um, so, and I probably, when I first built this out, I probably didn't have the ability to like test that very carefully, or I missed something or something like that. Or maybe I could have written a unit test that would have done it. Anyways, it's 9 o'clock, so I got to go. Bye. Have a wonderful day. Happy coding.